Hey, what's up guys? We're gonna see if I can get this video finished before my camera dies. So this should be fun. Alright. What's up Brotherhood channel? Happy Wednesday. It's your Wednesday guy Kai. On time this week. Yeah. This week's topic was transition ages and hormone blockers, something around that. And yeah, I don't know much about like transitioning early. I mean, I know from what I've seen online, but like personally, I transitioned after puberty, number one, and that's basically the best I can talk to about my experience and how I feel about that subject based on my experience. So that's what I want to put out there. Disclaimer, this is all based on my own experiences, and I haven't really researched much about transitioning at a younger age and about hormone blockers just because it didn't apply to my life. But that being said, I still think I can share a few of my opinions on them, and you can just take them with a grain of salt. This is what happens to my hair when I do it, and then I lay down for a little bit because I'm tired, and then I try to like get up and pretend like everything's okay. Yeah, okay. Sorry guys. Anyways, so yes, hormone blockers. So I guess this is where I'll start, because this has been a thing. Like, I told my parents once I was like all for hormone blockers, like, and they were very hesitant about it. It seems like to me a lot of people are scared of like influencing young children and like just acting like kids can't make their own decisions, or kids don't know what's best for them because they're kids. And sometimes kids don't know what's best for them, like when they want to eat ice cream for breakfast every day. That's completely true. But I feel like a lot of times we just don't give kids enough credit for knowing themselves and knowing their body and knowing how they feel. For me personally, it was a big struggle for me to get people to believe that I had depression, and even when I came out as trans as a 17-year-old, to believe that I knew that this was me and I knew what was best for me and all those things. But even, I guess that was when I was 17. Before, like really around age 11, 12, 13, that's when I really struggled with, that's when I started struggling with mental health, and I tried to tell people, and people dismissed it because of my age. And that's the thing that's not okay. So if a kid is okay, so here we go. Here's where the big thing. Like I said, I don't know much about hormone blockers. I don't know exactly, from the research I've done, from seeing some YouTube videos of people who were on hormone blockers or have been on hormone blockers, and from like, I've had a couple of Facebook friends and stuff that have done hormone blockers. I haven't seen anything negative. I haven't seen any negative side effects. I could be wrong. Again, haven't researched it. But from what I've seen, I don't see anything majorly negative. Now, here's where I want to get into. For me, puberty number one was like traumatizing. It was horrible. And the things that it caused for me, like the chest thing, okay. I have this vision sometimes where I knew I was trans before, and it can be it could be a fantasy. It might not be anything like this, but I have this vision where I lived in a world where people understood what transgender was. People informed me of that. People, I was able to figure out that I was transgender because the signs were there, and there were things wrong way before. I just didn't know how to label it. And once I did, I was able to say, hey, I'm transgender. This is what's going on. This is what needs to happen for me to have a better quality of life. But I have this fantasy where I knew that before, and since I knew it before, we were able to do something earlier. I was able to maybe go on hormone blockers or maybe start testosterone earlier. And in these visions, again, I don't know, could be completely wrong, but in these visions, I didn't have to have top surgery because the chest development didn't happen before, the testosterone, and again, could be completely wrong, and I don't know how these things work exactly. But my point is, puberty number one was very distressing, and I feel as if I wish I still had full feeling in my chest, but I don't because I had surgery. But I do love the fact that I have a flat chest, which I couldn't have without surgery. So it's like a catch-22. But if there were a way to prevent that from ever happening, and I could just have my natural chest without ever having had to have surgery, that would have been my preference. Again, I don't know if that's a thing of hormone blockers or not, I don't know if they would be able to completely stop that. I don't know exactly how that works, but I don't see a problem with kids at a younger age knowing their body and trying things to prevent this unnecessary stress. And I know it can be scary, especially for parents, to be like, wow, we are gonna medically like intervene with this child who otherwise seems perfectly healthy and normal. And that's the thing, because like even when I think about myself in the past, I think about myself and I'm like, I seem like a perfectly healthy girl, but I was actually just a really, really unhealthy boy. So, honestly, and this is just, I've thought about it, if I ever had a child, and they came to me and said, I think I might be transgender, and they're young, and they're like 9 or something, I would want to look at the options of starting them on hormone blockers to see if we could maybe give them more time. My camera's about to die. I'll be back. So this is a different camera that's also about to die. So this video is going to be in parts, sorry, but I wanted to finish that thought before I forgot, but I really had to plug in that charger for my other camera. Basically, that final thought was that if I could give my child more time to discover themselves, to avoid going through any unnecessary distress, and even if they ended up later saying, hey, I think I do want to, go through whatever puberty by natural, and I don't want the hormone blockers, I don't see a problem with giving them more time to figure that out, because I would have enjoyed that. But I'm gonna charge this other camera and be back to say more about that, so I will see you in literally like a second here, but it'll be a little bit longer in my time. So yes. Okay, hello again, friends. It's just been like a second for you, so it's probably weird, but it's been a few hours for me. But here I am. Okay, camera's charged. So I'm gonna try to say the rest of this without reiterating myself too much, but I feel like it's all about the same, everything I have to say, and pretty much covered it. But basically I was just going to talk a little bit more, because I talked mostly about hormone blockers in that first part before my camera died. I just was going to talk a little bit more about transition ages, but thinking back on to what I said at the beginning, kind of went over that. I think a lot of times kids are not taken seriously when they should be, because believe it or not, they do know themselves. They know what they're feeling, and all the experience in the world can't tell you what, like all the life experience in the world that adults claim they have. I mean, adults do have more life experience than kids, but it's still not going to tell you what's going on in that kid's head, what's going on in that kid's mind, what that kid's feeling. Because the only person who's best going to be able to report about themselves and what they're feeling is the person who is actually going through it. So, that being said, yeah, I'm all for just encouraging, like supporting kids in their life journey. And if a 4-year-old told me they were transgender, I would believe them and I would support that until they told me that they weren't transgender, if that day ever came, in which case then I would support that. But this idea that people like can't explore themselves and stuff and figure out who they are, and that we should like say, you're not old enough to know that stuff yet, I think is just ridiculous. That being said, I know when you put in like hormones into it, when you put in testosterone or estrogen or testosterone blockers or hormone blockers, estrogen blockers, whatever, it gets a little more serious, and you don't want a kid at 9 going on, let's just say, I'm going to use myself for example. So let's say I was 9 years old, born female. Let's say at 9 years old I was like, I'm a man, and then at whatever age they put me on testosterone. I don't know when they would do that. I guess male puberty, 13, 14 or so. Maybe I go on testosterone, and then I turn 25 and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm actually a girl. Let's say this were to happen. I get why that seems so scary to people, but I don't think that happens as often as you think. I mean, for my whole life I was told that I'm not trans, that I can't be trans, and I just had to fight against it. And eventually everything turned out the same. I turned out trans, and exposing me to all these cisgender people obviously didn't make me cis. So I don't think exposing kids to transgender individuals, exposing kids to these options are out there, are going to necessarily be like, make them be like, oh, I mean, just first and foremost, I get my testosterone through shots, so as a kid, I definitely would have never opted to get shots every week or every other week for the rest of my life. I mean, I know there's other ways of getting testosterone, but just putting it out there, like, it is a medical thing, and I don't see like, you know, if a kid has cancer or something, and I hate, you know, I mean, I don't want to bring up, like, comparing can sometimes be a sticky subject, but I hate that it's not, like, that mental health is not treated the same as physical health. And I know being transgender has a big effect on someone's mental health many times. So that's kind of why I'm using the thing, but the cancer thing. But you know what? Let's move away from cancer. Let me just put it this way. If a kid were physically sick, if your class, like in school, if your kid has a classmate who's physically sick and that kid is taking medicine to help them not be sick, that doesn't necessarily mean that your kid, I mean, yeah, your kid might be like, hey, why does Alex over here get to take medicine and I don't? I want medicine, it looks like it tastes good or something. But, you know, explain to them, no, they're taking this because of this, and it's going to help them with this, and this is not something that you just take just for fun. It doesn't taste good, you know. It's not fun to have to take medicine, and explain that, you know, being trans isn't like a trend. It's not a fun thing. It's a lot of times working against how the world's set up, how society's set up. So I just don't see a lot of kids just being like, oh my gosh, I'm trans just for the hell of it, and then going as far as hormone blockers or even physically transitioning to later regret it. Like, there's definitely, I think that we need to take kids more seriously, and 100% if my kid ever came to me and wanted hormone blockers or something, that would allow them more time to figure themselves out and possibly even delay or completely prevent them from going through something as traumatic as the wrong puberty, I would do it. And that's just what I have to say about that. You know, I would do research. I would do more research on it than I have already if it had something to do with someone who's literally in my life present. But as far as I know, without doing research, I would be 100% for it. And I would trust that my kid knows what they're going through and what they're feeling. So, yeah. Sorry this video was like all over the place, literally. Again, I'm not like the best educated on hormone blockers or early transition, childhood transition, but from personal experience, from what I went through from not having access to those things, I think I would fully support anyone, including my own child, if they felt that was what they needed to have the best possible quality of life as they could. So, anyways, that's my thoughts on this topic. I have no idea how long this video is, but I will see you all next week. As always, stay strong, stay safe, stay you. I love you all, and peace.